When we read Isaiah 61, 1 through 3, the temptation is to think of an old prophetic man with a long gray beard and in a robe speaking to an audience that's long dead. The other temptation that often comes to mind is to look at Luke chapter 14 and go, well, this passage is simply a Messianic utterance. I mean, after all, didn't Christ claim this passage for himself? And you're right, in fact, he did. But I want to make a challenge to you this morning based upon 2 points of fact. The first of those is scriptural. Because whenever Christ was on this earth, he said, as the Father has sent me, so send I you. And he also said in John 14:12 that we would do the same works that he did and greater. The second point that I want to make is a historical point. This passage was written during the reign of King Manasseh, one of Israel's most wicked kings. I mean, the man was known for idol worship and witchcraft. He put pagan idols in God's temples. In fact, tradition even has it that it was this very king who had the prophet Isaiah, the man who uttered this prophecy, sawn in half. Now, take that over into today's standards. It's today not unlike the time of Isaiah. I mean, after all, does not Hollywood encourage us like Manasseh to burn and disregard the Word of God? Do they not encourage us to turn to drugs and witchcraft and the stars as opposed to the very Word of God, which can give us hope and meaning? Yes, I make a challenge to you this morning as we go through this passage. Don't look at this as some prophecy to a long-dead audience about a coming Messiah. Don't look at this as some messianic utterance that applied only to Christ. I challenge you based upon those scriptures and upon history. I challenge you this morning, look at this as being for you, for us. What applied to Christ applies to us. Remember, as the Father has sent him, he also sends us. Isaiah 61, 1 through 3 says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to preach the good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom to the captives and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of gladness instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor."